What is up, everybody? My name is Tonny and I'm here with another Warframe guide video. In this video we will be looking at Umbral Nyx Prime Hybrid, and what that means is we'll look at different Warframe abilities that would definitely work with Nyx Prime. Okay, so I got three builds for you guys. The first build will be the Chaos build, or the CC build. Obviously I'm not using the augment for this ability, but with Chaos all you do is just cast your ability and enemies will be confused, doing some CC as well as damage to each other. Now, there are two ways to play this. One is to allow them to kill each other and not do anything, or you guys can just cast Chaos and probably another ability to kill everybody faster, even though you're doing some CC. And with that ability, you guys can use Thermal Sunder if you guys want, but I think Breach Surge will be pretty nice for more CC as well as the damage. Because with the strength of 84%, obviously to increase the range as well as duration for the Chaos, you do lose out some strength on here. So Breach Surge will pretty much build this strength up a little bit back up because of the damage multiplier from your weapons. So when it comes to it, obviously you want to have a really good weapon, shoot enemies, the sparks will go on another enemy, do a lot of damage. Of course the status chance is 60%, but that doesn't matter because it's radiation. But regardless of that, this is a pretty nice build here. For the growing power, obviously you want to have this for the extra strength, but when it comes to the Excellence mod slot over here, I highly recommend putting in Power Drift, but for some reason I polarize this for the, well, Naramon for some reason, so I'm not sure why I have that. But regardless, I'm not going to repolarize just for Power Drift. It's only 15%. With this should be fine for high levels, Steel Path, whatever it takes. Alright, so this is the second build here, and this is the Walking Nyx. What that means is you'll be using the Absorb ability with the Augment Assimilate, if I say the name right. This basically allows you to walk around with the Absorb on you. And when that happens, you get negative range, of course, because the bubble size of the Absorb is really small because it's cut in half. And then straight up, you also do not take damage because, well, you got Absorb on you. So you can walk around, but you can't run, you can't roll, you can't jump. And with that, well, there are ways to make your movement speed faster or somehow travel around faster, and I'll show you guys that later. Now, when it comes to the stats, you want to have 306% duration, so that way the Absorb per second is, or the drain per second, sorry, is 2.03 seconds. That's good enough, as well as the strength at 267 for your alternative ability for your Warframe here, and that will be the War. I highly recommend putting War on here, you guys, because of the damage buff. Eclipse may work, but don't forget that you also get the damage reduction. Even though the Absorb is pretty light, it does not work for the full-time damage buff. It does give you the damage reduction if you're in the shadows, so be aware of that. If you guys are planning to put Eclipse on here, just put War instead. That way you get the 100% damage buff the entire duration. With that, I get 91.8 seconds duration. That's like 1 minute and 30 seconds right there. That's great. Damage increase at 80%. That's good enough. That's almost close to a primed Bane of Grenier or Infested, whatever you would call it. And then you got the negative efficiency and range. That's okay. That's fine. Because when it comes to War, you don't really need range. When it comes to strength, well, yeah, you need War. Now, when it comes to the Aura mod here, you guys can replace Steel Charge for growing power if you're not going to be using melee. I would say, what, 80% of the time? 90%? And for Coaction Drift, same thing as the previous build. Make sure you guys have Power Drift. And when it comes to the Arcanes, I do have Arcane Fury here. If you guys are not going to melee, well, straight up, you guys can put Avenger in here. Rifle Arcanes here, Pistol Arcanes, Melee Arcanes, whatever you guys want. Just make sure you guys don't put Guardian, because Guardian, well, that's a bit redundant because you're already in God mode already. And Energize, well, you need to have that. Alright, so this is the third build. For those of you who do not like the second build because, well, you're walking Nyx and you're just walking and it's too slow for you guys, not enough nuke, do not worry. I got a build just for the nuke a little bit, just for the nuke. But when it comes to the fourth ability on default mode alone without any augments, it's not that great. That's why you guys do not see Nyx players out there, because Nyx is kind of not, well, beneficial, I would say. So when it comes to being a Warframe itself, usually it's made for CC and a little bit of defensive abilities. For instance, Chaos for the CC, the first ability for mind control, so basically, yeah, and the second ability it was, what, Psychic Bolts, which is kind of useless in my opinion. But when it comes to Absorb, default mode of course, I think it's great for stalling, I would say, as well as nuking once you're finished stalling, so that's pretty nice. So what I have here is an augment, which is Singularity. This was from the Conclave itself. Before this mod came for the PvE mode or whatever, usually I did not make a build for this, but now I'm going to make a build for this because I think Singularity makes this build, or makes Absorb a little bit better. So what this does is it creates a ring every 3 seconds that drags in enemies at 15 meters. So I'm going to show you guys how it works later on. But first let's look at the mods, or the or mods mostly. So corrosive projection, when it comes to this, I think it's best if you guys have this. If you guys do not want to have it, that's fine. Put whatever you guys want. Make sure you guys have power drift on here because obviously you get negative strength. And when it comes to the stats for this build, it's really hard to make this really good because you need all 4 of these: efficiency, range, strength, and duration. You need all 4. So how to balance it out? Well, this is the best I can do. Now, when you put fleeting expertise instead of streamline, not a very good idea because, well, I mean, it is a good idea if you're not going to make a hybrid build, but since I have a hybrid build, it's not made really well for me. So I do have dispensary here for the energy procs, for the energy conversion, so you get 50% ability strength when you guys cast absorb. That's 134, and that straight up makes everything pretty much balanced out, but of course you want to have some range in there. That way you guys can do some nuke action, but at the same time you should get the drain of 3.13. That's good enough if enemies are not nearby. If they're shooting at you, well, the drain is a little bit more, but only if you get 1000 absorb damage, I believe, and then it's going to drain the energy. I'm not sure how much. I think it's around 17.5 or something like that. Should be around there, but it's not that bad. I mean, 3.13, 17.5, that's good enough. When it comes to the arcanes, well, you guys can put whatever you guys want. Arcane Guardian, Energize. Since I will be, well, releasing the charges for absorb most of the time, I do probably going to need Arcane Guardian. For you guys, if you guys don't want to have Arcane Guardian, put whatever you guys want. Make sure you guys have Energize though. Okay, so this is the first build I'm going to show you guys, and that is the Chaos. Really fast on how it works. So obviously I'm going to do this on level 175 Heavy Gunners. The level 175 Heavy Gunners are not going to take that much damage from the Breach Surge because I have a Baton, Ufana, and a Dual Cannons Prime. Obviously those 3 weapons are not that great or not strong enough to do a lot of damage. But I'm just going to show you guys anyways on the melee only because that's the most damage I can do. So I'm going to go and show you guys the Chaos right here. Now the damage between these two guys are going to be very low damage, so don't expect them to kill each other really quick. And secondly is the Breach Surge. Okay, when you guys do the Breach Surge, obviously they don't really take that much damage. Notice that the sparks are just, doing its thing. If you guys have, let's say, Opticore Vandal or Opticore or a very strong as weapon, one-shot these guys, you pretty much do a lot of damage with the CC itself as well being sustained. And when you guys melee, well, this is my dual cannons, remember that. So yeah, it's not that strong, but maybe in lower levels, obviously it's gonna be stronger. Okay, so before I show you guys the Walking Nyx build, I want to show you guys my melee weapon here. So there's 2 ways to traverse around the map faster than just walking around. Number 1 would be your melee weapon. Wait a minute, Tonny. What? Yeah. So it depends on what melee weapon you guys use, and depends on the stance. I have a Carbon Mantis stance with the Dual Cannons Prime. Just for those that was wondering about my Riven, this is what it looks like. So the way you want to melee, it depends on the weapon too, by the way. So the way you guys want to melee is usually, depends. The stance or the combos it does allows you to traverse faster if you guys have it. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean. If I have this on, if I move around like this, of course I'm a little bit, well, slow, but not too slow. I mean, it looks like it should be the same amount as you do normally when you guys melee without the absorb. But if I use the block attack, if I use the block attack, it's not letting me. Okay, there we go. If I use the block attack and straight up melee, notice I'm moving pretty fast, right? So try to remember that speed. If I have absorb on, notice that I'm moving pretty fast too. So the stance of your melee weapon pretty much can increase your speed depending on what combo you guys are doing. This is one way to traverse, but only if you guys are like in heavy shit. Like if there's so many enemies, yeah, this is a good time to start doing it. Otherwise, if you guys need to traverse from one point to another way to do it is just to go into your operator mode, void dash, and then go back into your Warframe, and you guys will still be absorbed without breaking the channeling ability. So this is one other way. I highly recommend using this way instead of the melee version, but it's up to you guys. Alright, I'm going to show you guys a third build on Singularity on how it works. So if you guys are like on the ground and you cast your absorb, enemies will go to you like normally, right? But if you go above them, here's what it looks like. So they don't really go on top of you, they don't really go on you, they just go below you. So the way it works is it goes based on your feet, so they basically go towards your feet. So if you're above the enemy, they will not directly go above you. So it works similar to Valbon's Vortex, but not quite, because they only go below you if you're above, and if you're below, you're probably going to go above you. It will stay above. So this is what it looks like without being in the air. Now, of course, the damage is not that great, and of course, if there's a lot of damage you take, of course, you're going to release your absorb a little bit faster. So I think this build is actually best on mobile defense or defense missions. Mostly mobile defense, I would use this. Otherwise, I would not use it that much. If you guys want to use it for choke points, survival is pretty nice, or disruption is pretty nice. But I would not recommend using this on exterminate or capture or any missions that has very little enemies or anything like that. Just defensive objective protection is actually general for this build here. And that is it for this video, you guys. If you guys like this video, give it a like, subscribe to support my channel. Until next time, you guys, peace out.